Welcome back. Let's resume. We have been talking about this question, which is saying write SQL statements to create the tables below: T clothing order, T customer. And we said we have to create only these tables if we are asked to do that. But since we are doing a revision, we will also talk about other things like creating the database, because you might be asked to create a database. You might be asked to use a different database. You might be asked to do many other things that we are going to do. But remember that the query that you are supposed to write are the only 3 queries that creates 1, T clothing, 2, T clothing order, 3, T customer. Only these. And then everything else that is assumed is put in footnotes. Right, let's start now. As I said before, suppose you have a relational database, DB clothing cells with the following tables. We think about DDL. Therefore, DDL works with commands like create, and then you specify the object, and the object in this case is a database. If not exists, it's just a condition to say if the database does not exist, create it. If it exists, then your system will run into an error. So to avoid running into an error, we use if not exists. Then T color, we are now creating T color. The question did not ask us to create T color, but we are just creating it for the sake of learning. But the question did not ask you to do this, right? So before we do the creation of T color, because we may have many databases, if we just write the query from line number 6, which is saying create table, we may create the table but in a different database. So we have to specify the database that we want to use, so that everything that we are going to run after this command, which is on line number 4, is executed with respect to DB clothing cells. Therefore, we write use DB clothing cells, which is DDL, because we are dealing with database objects. The next thing is we create, before we created a database, in this case is a table, if not exist, our table name. So everything that is written in black, you can manipulate it, or you can customize it. If you want to use T underscore color, you can do that, but you cannot say create and choose to have your own spelling for create. It will give you an error. So that's the syntax: create the object you want to create, then condition if you want to have it. If you don't want, you may omit if not exist, and then you put T color. Then we say customer ID. This is just a column. Int, that's the data type. Primary key, enforcing entity integrity. Color name, variable color, 32. The moment we say int, the moment we say variable character, we are enforcing domain integrity. Then you close every opened bracket, and then the termination is used if you want to execute many statements that are written in one script. Then we have T customer. The question was asking us to create T customer, so this is what you are supposed to write. This is it. Create table, line number 11. Create table if not exists, T customer. Customer ID int unique. But you must also remember that the moment you say customer ID int unique, it becomes a candidate key. First name var 32, that's another variable. Surname, that's another attribute. Surname variable character, 32 characters. National ID variable characters, 32 unique. Date of birth, date captured, date time. Date time, that's a data type. Default, we are saying the default value for this attribute is now, and now gives us date and time. Then we can specify our primary key here, primary key, which is a composite key, a combination of two columns, customer ID and national ID. But since we have unique and unique on customer ID and national ID, we may use either of the two as a primary key. We may use either of the two as a primary key. But if we remove unique, then we can use it as a composite key. So please, if you watch these videos, make sure you are in listening mode as well. I don't want people who just watch while the video is muted. I hope I'm saying this to somebody who is unmuted. Otherwise, I'm just talking to myself. We're going to create the same table, only using one primary key, one column as a primary key. In this case, we are using customer ID on line number 12 as our primary key. And then national ID becomes an alternate key, which can also be used to enforce entity integrity. So we are leaving national ID as an alternate key. T category, we are not asked to create T category, but it's something that is mandatory. Therefore, you have said it in the footnotes, but we just create it the same way. And then T clothing, you were asked to create T clothing. So you say create on line number 23 at the bottom, create table if not exists, T clothing, you open the brackets for the attributes, clothing ID, int primary key, and entity integrity enforced, name variable car, size int, price is double. You may also specify that the price should not be negative. Color ID int, category ID int, and then here we are now enforcing a referential integrity on line 30, where we are saying foreign key is color ID. So foreign key, when we say foreign key color ID, we are referring to the color ID that is on line 28, which references table T color ID on delete, which is in T color table. Now, the trick might be the color ID which we are referencing in T color might have a different name, but it could be our foreign key. So our foreign key may have a different name, but referring to a primary key or a unique attribute in a primary table. So that's how referential integrity is done. We refer to a unique attribute in the primary table, and it becomes a foreign key in the child table. And when we say on delete cascade, we are saying when you delete the parent records, you also delete the child records. Foreign key category ID references T category table, T category ID. On delete, we cascade. So this is the SQL statement that you were asked to create. So this is the second. I don't remember the numbering, but it's one of the tables that we asked you to create. T clothing order is another one that we asked you to create. Create table if not exists. T clothing order ID. You may pause the video and have a look at this query, but this is exactly what you were asked to do, but you may do it differently while doing it correctly. So I'm not saying what I'm saying is the only correct thing, but you may also say some other correct answers. Now here's the question: display the name of clothing items, their color, and the surname and first name of the customers who ordered the clothes. Sort rows according to color in ascending order. This is for the next video. Let's stop for now and resume in a few minutes. Goodbye. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share.